I think that's perfectly fine. I just want to make sure the audio is coming through loud and clear. So, Gabriel, welcome to this briefing session, and congratulations on scoring 700.
Thanks a lot, Rajat.
Okay, and so let me actually just go through your email first, since we're doing this. I was looking at our email history with you, and from what I could really just see, you went from our email history. You went from like a 410 in your first attempt to what, 700 right now?
Yes, that's correct. At my first attempt, like 5 years ago, I scored 400 and 430. Yes, but without any preparation at all.
Okay.
It was actually an official mock, and then I started studying. I studied for 1.5 years. I started in 2014. Did some work during 6 months. Attempt the exam 2 times, with 550 2 times. And then this year I started again on March. Studied for 6 months, and then I tried again in July. I got a 650.
Okay.
With a good score in quant, but with a 31 in verbal. And then in this my last attempt, I had this 400 with the main improving the verbal section.
So you got a 700 with the main improvement in verbal section. So you said you got a 400. You mean you got a 700 with the main improvement in the verbal section, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you started preparing, you said 5 years ago, which is a long time back, and or even about a year back when you got a 550, did you ever think you will score a 700? And was that something you believed in yourself?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question. I'm sorry.
So you said in your second and your third attempt, you scored a 550, right?
I scored in my third attempt. I scored 650.
But prior to that, it was 550.
Yes.
So when you scored 550 after all that preparation, did you ever think you would, improve to 700 one day?
I still had that hope,
Okay.
The thing is that when I did some thinking about why I was not improving at my score, I realized that I made a lot of mistakes related to studying for TOEFL together with GMAT, and also spending some time with the application itself, right? And that was definitely what I changed this year. I focused 100% in GMAT, and I think that this was actually part of the improvement.
Okay, so I think that's just very good. We want to talk about the mistakes you made. The lack of focus is definitely one thing that not just you, a lot of people make that. So I want to focus on that. So let's start with your second attempt in which you scored 550, right? So it seems you gave GMAT a shot very early on. You took this mock test in which you scored 430. Then it was 5 years ago, and then pretty much didn't do anything for a long period of time. And then you went towards your second attempt in which you scored 550. So how come you thought about taking the GMAT in 2014? I mean, what was so pressing on the personal side that you said, I've got to take the GMAT now?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't get the last part. What was the changes?
What was the motivation to do the MBA in 2014?
Yes. The motivations were that I always dreamed of the MBA. I just think that I was a little immature that moment. I still needed some development in my career. Okay, so I in my first attempt I had just graduated. So I actually I started working in a private equity fund. 1 year after my first attempt. Then I just thought, okay, I'm done. That's it. I solved all my problems in my career. I'm fine. When started working in the private equity fund. But then after 2 years, the partnership got dissolved, and we started thinking about the MBA, and that's when I started preparing myself for this third attempt.
Okay. So how did you prepare? Let's start with that.
Yes, in my third attempt last year, I hired two private teachers, one for the quant part and the other for the verbal part, and I did all the revision of concepts. I started from the very beginning, okay, but only with these private teachers, with their material and nothing else. Okay, I spent like 3 months with that, and then I started doing some research on GMAT Club and international prep courses. Okay, I learned about Manhattan, Veritas, and all the famous ones, which are the ones that you can get easier in the internet, right? And I started to mix a little my preparation. And I think that was pretty much it.
Let me ask you, so which part of the world are you in? Which country are you from, Gabriel?
Sorry?
Which country are you from?
I'm from Brazil.
You're from Brazil, okay.
Yes.
And so you spent 3 months in these two private tutors. Were they from Brazil as well?
Yes, they were Brazilians. Okay. And there were also recommendations from other students that had already gotten their GMAT.
Okay, and how much did you spend? How much money did you spend on these two tutors?
It is difficult to say the total amount, okay, but I can give you the hourly rate, and it was about 200 reais, and today this translates into $50 an hour.
$50 an hour. So roundabout, would you think you would have spent about $1,000 to $1,500 across those 3 months? 30 hours, less or more?
I think that let me, during the 3 months, I think that I spent like let's say 1 hour a week.
Yeah, 1 hour a week.
Yeah,
so 24 hours in total. So 12 weeks, 2 hours, one for quant, one for verbal. Is that how I should count?
Yes,
24 hours, so about $1,200 in total.
Yes.
So after spending $1,200, after studying for 3 months, why were you looking for material? I mean, I would have thought you would be done with the GMAT, you would go and take the GMAT right then and then. You said you spent all this money, then you went to GMAT Club to say, how can I prepare more? Why was that? I'm sorry, I'm asking difficult questions, but I think I just want to understand why that happened.
No, yeah, it was difficult to me, you know. But what I was hearing about my friends and other students was that in GMAT, some guys will get the score with 2 weekends of study, you know. But most of the guys will have to go through all the materials you can find with 100 hours, 150 hours of work, and then I just like there was enough to understand that I should tolerate my score and get back and prepare again, you know. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
You are. What you're really saying is you are under the impression the more material you cover, the higher you will score.
Yes, it was me. Feel free to get your call, Rajat.
No, I'm fine. It's just
you're fine.
Call. Yeah.
Yes, and let me just.
I'm just going to mute the phone. Sorry.
Okay, let me just make a brief comment here. I'm sorry about my English. I know I think it's a little bit rusty.
So if you don't, fine.
Or maybe the accent. Okay, so if you please don't understand something, give me a hello. Okay. But going back to your question, I had in my mind that what I had to do was to cover all the materials that I had available. So it was not going to be about only focusing on one private teacher or only in one prep course, although some of the students could get the grade only studying with Manhattan. Okay, I had this in mind because, to be really transparent with you, Rajat, I'm pretty comfortable with that, and I know that I'm not the brilliant type of guy. You know, I know that I would never score like 750 or 770, something like that, because I did everything I had to get this 700. So I really covered everything I could, and that was my strategy after uh, the failures that I had this year.
Okay, okay. I think first of all, a couple of things there which are very, very relevant. So, by the way, coming back to your English first, your expression is really good. And
Thank
I've
you.
seen that with a couple of Brazilians. When I was doing MBA, I had this friend. He's a motivational speaker, and he had absolutely the best. I mean, if he wanted to say something, he would make a point that everyone would listen. And so I think there's that clarity of thought process that led to that clarity of expression, and I like that.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
And certainly that's something which is there. The second thing is what you really said is very, very important. You kind of realized that you're not, the most brilliant guy out there, so you needed to work harder, and you needed to study more, which I think it's very important to know, because ultimately what matters is the score, not how many hours you studied. It matters if you have a 700 right now, and then everyone will look at you and say, Gabriel has a 700, and then they won't worry about he studied for 400 hours or something for 60 hours. That's immaterial. Okay. So then you went on to GMAT Club, look for Manhattan materials, Veritas prep materials. Which materials did you take, and how did you study them?
Sorry, I didn't get the.
So you said you were now searching for more materials after private tutoring, right? And
yes,
you mentioned Veritas, Manhattan. You said whatever I could get online. So
yes,
there are lots of material which are online. Which one did you actually study?
Yes, I went through Manhattan really thoroughly. Especially in the quant part.
When you say Manhattan, you're talking about the books or the online course?
No, the books. I could get all of them on the internet. Okay, and I also bought the mocks, the tests they have online. Yes, but to be honest with you, I think they were not useful to me. I think they don't reflect the exam itself. They are too hard. So I did a couple of them, and then just left them out.
You're talking about the test, not the books. You're talking about the test.
Yes. Just to give you an overview, but specifically about the books, I went through all of the quantitative books, all the 8 guides that they have. Okay, mainly with the concepts, without the exercises. Okay, because I was doing all of the exercises of my private teachers and of the official guide. I did the official guide, I think, 2 or 3 times. Okay. What I wanted was to get the concept from Manhattan. I also studied the advanced skills that they have for quant. And regarding the verbal part, I went really thoroughly through the sentence correction part. I think they are really great at sentence correction. I read everything maybe 2 times. Critical reasoning and reading comprehension, I read once, but each of them. But it was not the same effort that I put in sentence correction. Okay. Is it clear? I mean, I was just like.
It's absolutely clear. Yes. So I have a question there. It's a curious question. No one has ever actually said what you said, and again, that's where I like the clarity of the question. So you said you did the concepts from the math books, and you did the exercise. You didn't do the exercise. You did the exercises that your tutors asked you to do. Why?
Yes.
And did the tutor say don't do the questions from the math books?
No. I think that I was just not interested in the exercises of Manhattan because I had a lot of exercises already, and
Okay.
because I have them, I had them
Mm-hmm.
in PDFs at the internet, and they were not attractive. To look at the scans in the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had better sources, and I'm really talking about statics. The
Mm-hmm.
statics of the PDF, they were kind of blurred.
Okay.
I was just paying attention at the concepts and then focusing on the activities of the other source.
When you say the starters, you're talking about the images were blurred.
Yes, and
Okay.
and maybe it was a little bit unconscious, but what I did, in fact, was to do the exercises of sentence correction. I think I did all of them of Manhattan, but critical reasoning none, reading comprehension none, and quantitative and the quant part none also. Yes.
Okay. So I think there's one other observation that I have, which is, if you read the sentence correction book twice, you must be a very diligent guy because I haven't been able to read the sentence correction. I have the book. I have, I think, every edition, but I haven't been able to read it even once. It's just not my thing. But you must be very diligent in doing that. So you did the 8 quant, the 3 verbal books. You did a couple of mocks. How long did all this preparation take?
It's difficult to remember how long, but just to give you an idea, I remember reading the sentence correction book during one weekend at Rio de Janeiro in a weekend inside a hotel. So I stayed like
Wow.
Saturday and Sunday just studying, and then went to a party on Saturday night, a wedding party, uh, and I covered all the sentence correction book in this weekend. So it was like
You were
maybe,
fast.
yes, but it was like maybe 20 hours of study. The
Okay.
10 hours on Saturday and 10 hours on Sunday.
Okay.
So I don't think I took a long time with the Manhattans, to be honest with you.
Okay. So you did this. You were doing the private tutoring. Then you actually took the test, in which you scored what, 550 is. Am, am I correct?
Disappointing. Yes.
Okay. So what was this your expected score going into the test? So
700, yes, definitely 700 in the third attempt, because I was scoring 700 in the GMAT preps mocks, the official
okay.
ones.
Okay.
But sorry, you are mentioning about before my third attempt, right?
Yes.
The 650, right?
So Manhattan was a third attempt. I just want to make sure it was Manhattan was a third attempt, right?
Yes, Manhattan was this year from April to June. April to June.
April to June this year. So it was 650. You called a 650. You were expecting a 700.
Yes, because I was scoring 700 in the preps. But let me just go back to your last question, just to give you a piece of information regarding my study with Manhattans.
Hmm.
Although I did this focus with the Manhattan books, I always had them in my desk,
Hmm.
to make some revisions when I want.
Hmm.
So I printed them, especially the formulas of the quant parts. Okay.
Hmm.
I also highlighted a lot of parts in sentence correction, so I was always going back to them
So
once in a
you also
while.
did revisions, basically, is what you're really saying.
Yes,
Okay, that's good. So third attempt, you're going into the test. You expect a 700, right?
definitely. Yes.
Right. You got a 650 in the end, right? So how did the test feel? How was the quant or the verbal portion different from what you had seen?
Um, to, it was not different from what I had seen, because for this third attempt, I was not studying only with Manhattan. I did some Manhattan, as I told you, during this period, but I was also studying the questions that GMAT offers in the prep software. Okay,
GMAT prep,
the
okay.
Yes, I bought the pack, the question pack.
Yes.
I also did the focus, the focus that they have in the internet. I think they are pretty good preparation, the focus. So I was very familiar with what I saw in the test. Okay, so I felt really comfortable with the quant part. I also felt comfortable with the verbal part. But what I think, and I was really well prepared, mentally speaking, okay? But what I think that happened was that I couldn't handle the stamina in the end of of the verbal part. So I remember like losing myself in the last 10 questions of verbal part. I just couldn't think anymore, and that's where I think I lost the exam.
Okay, that's good. So that is really good. So you came out, you had a 650, and you basically said, okay, I need to do something different.
Yes.
Right. So that is when you bought one of our verbal courses, right?
That's right.
Okay. Why did you buy, e-GMAT? I mean, what was your reason? I mean, of trying a new course after having studied so much?
Yes. There were two main motivations to get to e-GMAT, Rajat. The first one was a recommendation from a friend that was already using the e-GMAT, and he really strongly recommended the course. He said that it was a really good material, good methodology. And then I went to GMAT Club to check. I was already very familiar with GMAT Club, okay, and I went to GMAT Club to check the rankings and everything, and I saw that there was a really good opinion about e-GMAT on GMAT Club, especially for international students, and that attracted me at the time. So I think that those were the two reasons that I decided to buy e-GMAT. But there was also another thing that happened. My friend showed me the course in his computer and introduced me, to all the methodology, the way that e-GMAT works. And then I got interested. That was how I decided to buy.
Okay. So and you bought e-GMAT in June of this 2015, right? Or July? When was it?
Yes, July. In the end of July. My third attempt was on the 10th of July.
No, but when did you purchase the course?
It was after the third attempt, maybe in the last week of July, I think.
Last week of July. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it's fairly recently, basically.
Yes, very recently.
Okay. So then you started going through the course, and so how was going through this course different from reading the book or working with a private tutor that you had done? I mean, you've done a lot of material.
Yes. My first impression, Rajat, was that with the e-GMAT course, I was completely oriented on how I should study and how I should preparation. And for instance, I had the three parts: sentence correction, reading, and critical reasoning, and I had everything well organized, step by step, separated. So idioms, subject and verb agreement, verbs, modifiers, parallelism, with all the blocks that you make. So I could follow a really structured way of my study plan. So to be honest with you, to be really honest, that made my preparation easier, because I knew that I had like 40 days until my next exam, and I just downloaded the standard study plan that you guys offer, and I follow it strictly, especially for sentence correction and the critical reasoning part. So I kind of abandoned the reading comprehension. Okay, I also couldn't handle the live classes on weekends because I used this time to study with the material, the online material. Okay, but that was mainly how I went through the preparation.
Okay, so you
Is
look
it?
at the
Am I answering your question?
yes, yes, yes.
Sorry.
You look at the Excel study plan. You say, okay, these are the things that I need to cover, and you would cover them and mark them out in Excel itself, and basically, okay, okay, and that is good. So I think that's one of those
Yes,
things where
I follow.
you that's where the methodical piece comes out. And I say you're one of those very dedicated guys who did the Manhattan book, and then I can see the same dedication coming out when you're following the study plan.
Yes, to be honest, I followed your suggestions strictly. You know, all the step by step. Another thing very important. I did all the exercises that you guys mentioned in the official guide list. The when you finish a section and then you have the official guide exam exercises. I did all of them, and my friend that recommended me the e-GMAT was not doing the exercises, the official guide exercises, and he didn't get the score. No, I got really happy when I realized that was also part of my score. Doing the official guides exercises that you provide. Yes.
I mean, the key is to make sure that the process is cemented, right? And that's one of the reasons why we don't really say do the course and then do the official guide. We've kind of integrated various questions in the official guide at various stages of the course. That's why when you do the subject verb part, you're there, Gabriel?
Yes, I can hear you now. It's just I think it's a little bit unstable now.
Yeah. So,
but now it's good again.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I think internet is mostly reliable, sometimes not. So what I really said is, it's very important that people do official guide questions along with the course. There's one reason why we put that in the study plan. We actually even have the question numbers so in the study plan itself, so that you really know, okay, these are the numbers that we need to do, and that's one of the reasons we also prepare most of the solutions. And even though it's a lot of work to make those solutions, our solutions are very comprehensive, but it is really important for you to get the process and to have that process ingrained in how you solve each and every question. That's kind of what leads to that ingrainment or ingraining of the process, and then that is what leads to the score improvement. So I'm really glad that you did that. Now,
yes.
Now so as you went through our course, did you change how you approach questions? I mean, Manhattan's approach is different from e-GMAT's approach. Manhattan doesn't focus as much on meaning as we do. Manhattan doesn't focus as much on pre-thinking as we do. So is that something that you changed in your approach as well?
Yes, I think that was something that I changed, Rajat. But the thing is that I don't remember myself changing the way that I approach the questions from Manhattan to e-GMAT. I remember using the method of e-GMAT in my fourth attempt. But to be honest, I couldn't get a clear methodology of approaching the questions from Manhattan. Okay, I know the thing is that I think the way that Manhattan works, the concept and the methodology to approach questions is not clear enough. It's not separated. For example, sentence. I know that they have all the chapters and stuff, but I think that maybe I didn't focus on the way to attack the questions. I focused more on the concepts themselves. Okay. Could you get it?
No, I could get it, and I know what you're really saying, and I think actually none of the major companies do that. It's not just Manhattan, and this is one of the things when we designed our courses. The very fundamental concept of what we call as an application file in which we teach the methodology is something that we realize that people don't have it. I mean, Manhattan, if they'll have a 12-page chapter, they'll have one page of, okay, this is how you're going to approach it, uh, but that's basically it. They won't really, and they expect you to get it in that one page, but that focus is way more on, teaching concepts and doing that well. They do it really well, but not as much on application. And we realize
Yes.
that people falter this application, and that's one of the reasons why we integrate concepts and applications. And even when we give solutions, we apply, we don't abandon the approach, we follow the approach, because when you know something really well, and most of our experts know things really well, it's a lot easier to arrive at the answer, but we make a conscious decision to follow every step, because it does two things. One, that makes sure that we don't make mistakes ourselves, and it's a good validation for the question that we create. And the second thing is, it is the right way to do things. I mean, for our students, this is how they are going to, it's one of those ways in which we lead by example. So,
Yes, but I would like just to add a comment, Rajat, of something that I just remembered. I went through our score and the critical reasoning Bible and a lot of books. Okay, and I think that maybe this mixture that I made confused myself regarding the way to attack questions. Okay, but I remember using the techniques that Manhattan suggests, mainly for the quant part. So yes, there is the 7 strategies and the 7 tactics that they, I think that they call, and I remember using them for problem solving, for data sufficiency, and that was really helpful. Okay.
And there is a reason for that, right? Why? Because again, most of the content out there is written for Americans. The Americans are really good in verbal; they're not as great in quant. So in quant, there's a lot more focus on the process, whereas on verbal, that focus isn't there, because again, their primary customer doesn't need that focus.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of where the difference is. So did you also try Scholaranium?
Yes, I did. I tried Scholaranium in the last 10 days, maybe 12 days before my exam.
Okay, and how was the experience going through Scholaranium?
To be honest, I wish to have had more time with Scholaranium, because I could get some really nice insights from Scholaranium. For example, I am a disaster at both the text questions in critical reasoning. I could score
both yeah.
Both phase, yes. I could get maybe 3 questions right from out of 25. Okay. So it was really good to map my abilities, the way where I was scoring good and where I wasn't. Okay, I had this information from GMAT Club because I also had the subscription for GMAT Club, but the way that they offer the information is not friendly. Okay. And that's something that is really good from Scholaranium. The tool is the layout, and also the way that it is simple, to absorb and see the information makes it interesting to use. So sentence correction, I could see my ability, verbs, subject of agreement, hard, easy, medium. So the experience was nice, pleasurable to work with Scholaranium. And then when I identified both phase questions, evaluate questions, what is not working in sentence correction, also modifiers, so I remember like identifying my weak areas and then spending like 5 days attacking these weak areas, like only working this type of questions. And also
that really helped. Did that help?
Yes, it did help. It did help mainly in evaluate questions in critical reasoning, because I could, and that was something really strong to me, Rajat, because I was working the evaluate questions in the wrong way. I was pre-thinking evaluate questions the same way I was doing inference and assumption. Actually, it was not clear how I should attack the question. And then I went, this reflect in my score in evaluate the question. And then I went back to the concept of evaluating and could improve maybe 10 points in the ability score.
Wow. That's a lot with just evaluate. So what you would do is you'd say, okay, this is my weakness. You would go back, revise the concepts, and come back and take another ability quiz for the entire section. You can say, oh,
Yes.
now I can see the improvement. That's amazing. That you use the tool the right way.
Yes.
It makes me really, really happy when people use the tool that way.
Yes, me too.
So that's good. So and so how did you find? So did you find other than that, did you find the question and the solutions useful in terms of? So I wanted to ask you the ability quiz. You've already answered that part, but the quality of questions. So did you find them very similar to what you got on the GMAT? Were they testing the same things?
That's something tricky, because in the beginning of my preparation with e-GMAT, I was having different scores in official guide questions and e-GMAT. In official guide, I was scoring around 70%, 80%, and in e-GMAT, in the beginning of e-GMAT, I was scoring like 60, maybe 65 or 50, depending on the subject. And I had the impression that maybe e-GMAT questions are not similar to official guides and GMAT itself. And also, Rajat, I must be really honest with you. I had the impression that the questions of e-GMAT of the website, and also not in Scholaranium, maybe more of the first phase. Okay, I had the impression that the questions were more open to discussion. They were not clear on the right answer, if you know what I mean. Okay, I could get satisfied with the explanations of official guide more than with the e-GMAT explanations, and also with the way that the question was opened. But then after some time, I think that it changed a little. The score converged to the same percent, but and let me think how I'm gonna say that to you. I think that I improved the way that I was making inference on sentence correction and critical reasoning questions. Okay,
what you're really saying is very true. Or you may have that feeling in the critical reasoning section, especially in the concept files, and that's because what you really see, for example, in the assumption concept file, you'd have arguments that are more open than what a typical argument would be, and where you'd say, hey, here is an argument, and here are 5 assumptions out of that argument, right?
Yes.
And again, it is built on purpose and to be that way, because we allow you to think of multiple assumptions. So the idea really is to really say, hey, if I can come up with each of those 5 assumptions, can you validate that each of those 5 assumptions, it satisfies the 3 conditions that every assumption should satisfy?
Yeah.
Right. Or the same way with multiple ways to evaluate an argument. So it is meant to, again, it's a concept file, right? It's meant to teach the concept to you, and you're meant to question yourself to really say, am I getting it or am I not getting it? And I think as you go later on in the course, it helps develop your concepts, and this is why as you go later on, the thinking converges more and more. The official guide is written just so that you can practice. It's not written to teach you anything.
Okay, yeah.
Right? It's just to say, you practice these questions, you practice those questions. The other thing is, the official guide is written in increasing order of difficulty. The easiest questions come first, then you have the difficulty, and then you have the most difficult questions. So in the critical reasoning section, for example, where you have about 130 questions, the first 1/3 are probably the easiest questions, and pretty much everyone a median person, an average person would get 80% of them correct. And that's kind of the baseline for easy questions.
Yes.
So you would find that you'd do more correct over there than you would do on the e-GMAT course, because both of them are written with different intents. So
yes, but to be honest, yeah, but I could get the 80% also in the medium and hard questions of the verbal review, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I think that you have a point. But I think it was also my improvement mainly on how I could, how I was inferring about the question, and, like deviating from what I should attack. I think that it was the two motives. Okay.
Yes. Yes, it was. And again, in the concept file, it's not to teach you how to attack the question. That's what the application file is. The concept file is the concept. Yes. The application file is a lot more focused, by the way. And again, it's just kind of the anti of the concept file that way. The concept file is precision from a concept standpoint. The application file is so again, think of it. If I were to teach you how to use a hammer, the concept file will teach you 5 ways in which you can use a hammer. Right? And the application file will teach you how to use a hammer to nail something, and that very specific thing. So there is that constant struggle between the concept and the application file, and hence your feeling, and it's designed to be that way, and that's what makes it very effective. I mean, when you make that connection, and especially that's why you go through the bunch of concept files, you go through application file, you do the OG question, you go through the OG solutions, and it's that sequence that streamlines your thought process, where you get that clarity of concepts by the time you get to by the end of the module. And by the way, this entire exercise is what, 4 hours, no more than that.
Yes.
Right. And which is kind of where if you're focused during those 4 hours, you come out and you say, now I know more. Now my ability has improved. And I think that's kind of what you experience. And you said by doing the concept, it's open-ended. I don't know how I can directly apply it, but you shouldn't do it to a question. You shouldn't, because the application file is right after there for you to tell you how to directly apply it.
Yeah.
So
yes.
So yes, and that's very fair feedback, I would say. So before we started recording, you mentioned that you were at a client site.
Yes, I am.
So what do you do?
Well, I'm working with consulting.
Mm-hmm.
I work in a Brazilian consulting firm, specifically with restructuring. Okay.
With restructuring. Okay.
Yes, restructuring, performance improvement. Not the strategic type of work like the big three. Okay, McKinsey and
Bain and yes.
It's more like operational diagnosis, zero-based budget, performance improvement, logistic analysis, commercial analysis, financial analysis, but more oriented to find quick wins and get fast results instead of long-term strategic plan.
I was going to say your return on investment is very fast, basically, on your kind of engagements.
Yes.
You're very functional, you're very siloed, and you really say this is how you can do these operations way better. This is how you can get more production out of it, or take these many people out by changing the processes. Okay, and then yes, I've seen those consulting verticals as well. So you do that, and so this means you travel a lot. How did you study for the GMAT, and especially for so many attempts while doing this?
I was really lucky because my boss today is the same guy from the private equity fund, so we get along, and he knows about the MBA. So I worked for 2 projects in the same city that I live. I was not traveling. I had really good hours at night to work, to study. Sorry. So I was not going through this 70 hours a week.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had my time, okay, to focus, and I just needed to know how to use it.
So are you married, or do you have a girlfriend, or did you have a girlfriend when you were doing these 2 attempts?
No. It was only about work and GMAT, Rashad, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And family.
And family. Okay, okay. That's good. I mean, that's something which is just there. So now you've studied so much, you've done these attempts, and you've had what, four attempts for the GMAT right now, right?
Four attempt. Yeah, I got the score in my fourth attempt.
You got the score in your fourth attempt. If you were to sit back and really say, okay, if you were to do this all over again,
Yes.
Right? You are a lot more wiser now when it comes to preparing for the GMAT, right? If you were to do this all over again, tell me, knowing how Gabriel was a year and a half back, knowing all the things that you needed to improve,
yes,
what would you do, and how much time would you allocate to ace the GMAT?
Okay. Regarding the time, I would allocate the same time. Okay, I think
1 year.
Yes, the time I needed to get the 700. Because I was completely decided to apply to the best schools. Okay, but so I would
you would still do 4 attempts, is what you're really saying?
No, not if I would go back 5 years ago, then I would do things differently. I would wait maybe 2 years before my first attempt, okay? But I was thinking about just going back like 2 years after my second attempt, because I like to see my preparation like that. After college, I took the first mock, got the 430, okay? Started studying and but quit. I just quit, and then I, as I told you, I started working for private equity. Okay, for 3 years. Then when the partnership ended in 2013. I started thinking about GMAT again, and then started studying in 2014, the beginning of 2014. Okay, so I like to see these two separate times, and I just wanted to know which time you want me to go back and make this.
No, so my sense really is, what you really did, went through 4 attempts, you went through a large number of resources.
Yes.
And there are people from Brazil who will be watching, who will watch this interview. There are people from Germany, from Sweden who will watch this interview. I mean, predominantly people who are not in America. In America there are lots and lots of resources, but in Brazil and in Argentina and in Sweden and Germany and Denmark and Holland, in Spain, there aren't that many resources. I know when I started for my GMAT, I was in Germany. I didn't have access to very many resources.
Okay.
So knowing what you know about GMAT Club, knowing what you know about Manhattan GMAT, knowing what you know about your private tutoring, and what all would you do? And because a typical guy from these countries is, like you. He or she is not super brilliant. He or she is not going to be one of those people who would take the GMAT in 2 weekends and score a 740. That's not what most of us are. Okay.
Yes.
So it took me 4 months to prepare for the GMAT in 2003. So how would you go about doing it? I mean, knowing what you know about the various resources and the focus study and other things.
Okay. Yes, I got you now. So if I could start everything again, probably I would wait for maybe 2 or 3 years after my degree. And then after these 3 years of experience, I would select a year. Maybe I think in a year, starting on February, maybe on March, and after the holidays, and then I would first get the TOEFL. I think that was really important to me. First, get the TOEFL, and then focus 100% on GMAT. How I would do that? I would. I had a really good experience with a private teacher, a quant private teacher, this year. I got 49 in my third attempt and also in my fourth attempt. So I would stay with her again. I could find a really interesting teacher. But I think I would spend some time with taking a look with in all of the materials again, trying to absorb all of them. So and what I mean here, in other words, is that it was important to get everything I could from one source, quit it, and then move to another one and try to see different perspectives. So I would stay with that again. I wouldn't attach only to one resource. Okay. And then one thing that I would change, and I think, and I wanted to tell you that, Rajat, I was doing some brainstorm before our conference, and one thing that I think was really important in my preparation was analyzing the way that I was, why I was making mistakes. So that was something that changed a lot.
When did that change?
Sorry?
When did that change happen? When you say you analyze where you make mistakes? That's a very important point.
Yes, that changed. I think that in June this year, 1 month before my third attempt, I decided to spend more time analyzing my mistakes, analyzing why I was getting questions wrong. And another thing, very important, I started to push myself harder with time. So I was doing quant questions in 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 50 seconds, and also verbal questions, sentence correction in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Mainly in official guide, because in official guide in e-GMAT, you don't have time. So I used to time myself with a shorter amount of time. Okay.
So when you say you would push yourself with time, how would you do that? I mean, tell me, was it like you were wasting time earlier when you were solving questions?
Yes, that's it. I select, for example, 20 questions of math, of quant, and used 30 minutes to solve them. That's it. So it was not the ordinary 2 minutes for questions.
No, so prior to June, before June,
okay,
if you took these 20 questions,
yes,
how was your approach different in for those 20 questions than it was when you compare it to the approach after beginning of June?
Yes, it was not organized at all. For example, in a random selection of quant questions, I would try to obey the 2 minutes threshold. But then if I got a really hard question, I would allow myself to go through this threshold of 2 minutes. Okay. And so it was completely unorganized. All right. Sometimes I could obey the 2 minutes threshold. Sometimes I was completely just trying to, let's stop, understand the question, think, go back to methodology. So I didn't have
So you weren't taking the question, you weren't solving the question that you would solve in an exam. You were saying, I'm solving these 20 questions, let me figure out every way to get it. Doesn't matter if it takes 2 minutes, it may take 3 minutes. I may have to refer back to a book, so let me refer back to a book. So you were breaking your flow that way. But
yes,
as you came closer to the exam, you became more in tune with the exam mode. And what you're really saying is, if you were to study again, one thing that you would do is you would know when you are learning, and you would know when you are in the exam mode. And when you are in the exam mode, you would not go back and refer back.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very good point.
I would change that, but it is but I would try to separate my study plan in 2 parts. Maybe in the first part, I would allow myself to go back to books and try to understand and reinforce some concepts. But then approaching the exam, maybe 2 months, 1 month before the exam, I would try to obey a pattern of study. And try to push time harder and try to simulate the environment, So maybe in the beginning I would allow that. I would still allow that, because when you realize that you are not answering the same type of questions in the beginning of the study, and that you just can't solve some geometry type of questions, it is important. You have the situation in your hand, and it's important. Oh, let me get a book and understand this formula, this concept. But then after some time, I would try to obey this standard approach. Okay.
I think a more efficient way would be if you, and you took the example of geometry, right? If you studied geometry, did this for one or two sets of questions, and then did a third set of questions in the exam mode. That way you would be done with geometry. Then you repeat the same process with word problems. So the moment you're studying a topic, it's very similar to, let's say, if you were to do, and you took the example of boldface, let's say you were doing assumption questions.
Yes.
You do the concept, you do the application. Maybe you do one quiz where you're allowed to go back, okay, where you're not timed. But
Yes.
once you think that you've understood everything, you should take a quiz right within the next 24 hours, which is a timed quiz. So that so that you don't have to wait till that last 1 month to figure out that assumption is a problem for you.
Yes, you're right.
Right?
Yeah.
You get to know right then and there, and I think that's where one of the features that we do with this is the custom quiz feature, where you can take an assumption quiz in Scholaranium with just creating a custom quiz.
Yes.
And that's kind of, I think, the most efficient way, where because maybe now you take not 6 hours to study assumption, maybe you take 8 hours, but you're certain that you've mastered assumption because the results are there. Right?
Yes.
See that the time is there, the ability in assumption is there. You know how you're doing in easy, medium, and difficult questions.
Yes. Sorry.
No, I think that was it. I was finished.
No, that's it. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
So Gabriel, let's come back to you right now. So which schools are you applying to?
Yes, Rajat, before we talk about schools, let me just contribute with another thing that I just remembered. I don't know if you have a problem with time or agenda or no.
I can go a few minutes. Yes.
Yes. So I just wanted to mention another thing with you. Something that I used a lot and that I believe that helped me a lot to improve my score, Rajat. Just as a last comment. Was and this is something that I remind really vividly during the last part of my preparation, and I learned that from e-GMAT. Okay, I started using my time more on the question than in solving the exam. During all my preparation, all the years before my fourth attempt, I was just like reading the question and then trying to solve, trying to figure out what was the best attempt, and I was just like exercising. Then with e-GMAT, I learned that I had to use my time more understanding the question, understanding what was the critical reasoning question about, understanding what was the geometry, the sentence correction questions, thinking, looking away before trying to solve. And that is something that I changed when my third attempt was approaching, but I couldn't develop that completely. And then definitely in my fourth attempt, I was already using most of my time understanding the question and understanding what was there, and then spending like half of the time that I had resolving the question. This is something that I think helped me a lot. Okay,
It's very critical. So I think what you really did is you did change your process, and this is exactly when we say spend time on finding errors in the original choice. That's kind of what we say. Understand what the original choice is trying to really say. Figure out the way it's written in syntax correction. Is that the best expression to express the meaning that is there? And I think, and that's very, very important, and that's very critical. And I'm really glad you did that. Because
Yes.
what a lot of people do is they basically look at a question and say, hey, what is the answer? Which of the five is the answer? Because the answer has to be within these five. But
Yes.
and that's one of the worst things that you can do, because what they don't realize is these answers are so worded that if you just try to figure out which one is the best amongst those five, you won't be able to do it if you don't understand what's given to you in the question.
Definitely.
Right. And that's kind of where I think that following that process is very useful. And that's a very good point. I'm glad that you mentioned it.
Yes.
So thank you for mentioning that.
Okay.
Now let's go to your business schools. Which schools are you applying to?
My first attempt, I think, will be TUC.
Okay.
I went to one info session. I really liked the school, the community. So TUC is my first choice, I think.
Okay.
It's
an amazing school, I would tell you that.
Yes, and and to be honest with you, I think that it's a complete match with my profile. You know, I'm that type of guy, social guy, community guy. You know, interested in relationship, developing soft skills, and that's my way. Not oriented to hard skills and competition, and you know. Without interactions after class, so that's why I'm applying to TUC. I'm also interested in Kellogg. I'm also interested in Wharton, but for different reasons. Actually, I'm a little bit divided between a more pragmatic decision, since I am a guy from consulting and financial consulting, private equity fund, which would be very nice to go to Wharton, to London Business School, and colleges and schools like that. But I'm really interested also in Wharton and Columbia. So I would mention TUC, Kellogg, Wharton, and Columbia.
I think one thing that I would really say is, I mean, all of these are top schools. You can pretty much get into any profession you want from any one of these schools.
Yes.
The other thing that I would really say is, TUC's quite competitive too, but it's not that. It's also very collaborative, and I think that's something which I mean, any of the top schools are competitive. But you're very right. TUC has this community culture, which I think it's a small school. People know each other. People help each other. I didn't go to TUC, but it was one of my top choices. I would say that it's one thing that if I were to go, I probably want to study a semester over there.
Nice.
Although it's very cold out there, but in Dartmouth. But yes, that's something that I still dream to do. Maybe someday I'll go and study a semester.
But did you go to business school, Rajat?
Yeah, I went to Babson. Yes.
Babson.
Yes, Babson is a small school in Massachusetts.
Yeah, really nice.
Yes. One mistake that I did when I was applying to TUC was my first ever school that I applied to was TUC, and it's something that I would not recommend anyone to do. TUC was my dream school, and you know, your first application should never go to your dream school.
That's really interesting, huh?
Yeah, because it's like your first attempt on the GMAT, right? You're never going to be the best. Especially, I mean, for me, as I said, I was in Germany. There were no admission consultancy. Internet isn't what it used to be, or what it is today. Internet wasn't what it is today. So it's not that you could get help on admission essays. And because I was in Germany, my English wasn't great. I mean, I gave my first application to TUC. I got waitlisted, and my sixth application was to GSB Chicago, where they admitted me. And when I compared my application to TUC and my application to GSB Chicago, I was shocked. I was like, how did TUC even waitlist me? My application was so bad.
Yeah.
So it's a regret that I have till this day. And as one recommendation that I would have, if TUC's your dream school, make sure it's your third or fourth application.
Even if I apply in the second round.
It's okay. I mean, I got multiple full fellowships in my second round. In my first round, I only got rejections. In my second round, I got into every school that I applied to, and I got 2 full fellowships.
Nice.
So I didn't pay a penny for my MBA.
That's really nice. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of one. I mean, I'm not saying you should apply to Tuck in your second round, but I mean, your first application shouldn't be to Tuck is what I would say.
Okay, so you mean the preparation itself shouldn't be the first one, but you should try to apply as soon as possible. That's it.
Yeah, again, when you think you're ready, first or second round, in my opinion, does not matter. There's not a whole lot of difference between the first and second round. Third round, yes, but not between the first and second round. And so what really happens when you create one application, because pretty much as you make an application for one school and make an application for another. So if you think about an application, yes, every school is slightly different, but every school has the same elements in the application. There are two parts. One is personalization. The other is, you have this vast checklist of elements. You need to have your resume ready. You need to have the letter of recommendation ready. All the essays should actually flow in one go. The personalization to that school should be there. You need to make sure that in addition to all of this, the application is filled out properly, right? It's not just about these elements submission that you do, but it's also the online application that you do these days. So all of this is a lot of work, and it needs some getting used to, right? So once you do your first, second, or third application, you kind of figure out, okay, some of the things that are processes have become processes. You can and you can look at all of this holistically, and that's why I think the third or fourth application is really much more improved from your first or second application. Unless until you have an admission consultant who's looking at every aspect of your application, then of course I think your first and second application do become pretty good too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is a process of improvement and development, and your first one obviously is not going to be the best one. I agree.
Yeah, and then you have to say, okay, what do I write? An optional essays for every school. If some schools do provide, others don't. Some schools have essays in which the thing that I wanted to write in the optional essay can go in the core essay. So, but I mean, once you do two applications, I think you start to get a hang of it, and you kind of get a critical eye. Also, once you get a decision from a couple of schools, I think what really happens is, if you get acceptance from a couple of schools, you get that confidence, and I think that confidence bleeds into your third application. If you get a rejection, you get that critical eye. You really say, why did they reject me? What could I have done better? Either way, it improves your application.
Yes. That's really helpful. Thanks a lot, Rajat. I will try to use that during my application process. Thanks.
Really. No, you're welcome. Well, Gabriel, that's all that I had today. I thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. And someone from e-GMAT will follow with you post this interview.
Sorry?
I said someone from e-GMAT will follow up with you after this interview.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much, and good luck for your applications.
Thanks a lot, Rajat. It was also a pleasure to meet you.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.